Hello and welcome to the Stateside Road Warrior with me, Movie Scouser 007, where we play American Truck Simulator. So this is a little episode. It's a short episode. It's a long time coming because unfortunately you might notice that this is not being recorded in game. This is actually me narrating over the top of this video, which is something that I'm not used to, not massively comfortable with because I've not done it before, but you have just seen why I have created this little video. I was extremely excited because I'd just got purchased this fantastic little device. It's called a TrackHat Track Clip, and what it is, I don't know, you may have heard me talking in previous episodes about a thing called Track IR, which is an American device which clips to your headphones, and it's three little lights which interact with a camera on top of your monitor, and it guesses where your head is positioned based on the position of those three lights. But that was always a little bit expensive for me. I was looking at over £100 for the device, and then probably £120, £130 for the device, and then maybe another £60 for shipping and import taxes, by which time it was going to be about £200. And I thought, well, I was going to do it. I was all set, prepared to sort of bite the bullet, but it would have taken a while for me to have acquired this. Well, a British company who are not happy with how expensive and how fragile, frankly, Track IR is, one chap set up this company called TrackHat Track Clip. Now, initially, it was a hat with three lights sewn into the brim of the hat, which is why the company's called TrackHat. I didn't want to wear a baseball cap on the top of my head because I'm uncomfortable wearing a hat with headphones on top, and it all gets a bit ridiculous. The hat doesn't fit properly over the caps, and also I'm bald, and wearing a hat is not a particularly good idea for a bald person indoors for long sessions. The hat scratches my head, it all gets a bit itchy, it's all very uncomfortable. What you can see me doing in the background is fiddling around with the settings on my steering wheel, and I've got a feeling that I did this for quite a bit. Again, so I'm not paying great attention to what I'm doing, but I think what I'm about to do is what I traditionally do, is to get some fuel, maybe certainly get a rest, maybe repair. I can't remember. This is the trouble about narrating something after the fact. And it's considerably after the fact. Unfortunately, a lot has been going on in my life. Work's a lot of crap at the moment. We've had visitors, two lots of visitors, in-laws, and my mother and brother have all stayed around about the time that all this was happening, and then with visitors in the house, it just becomes properly impossible for me to do any of this. Also, my wife, I normally do this when my wife she plays netball on a Monday night, and the season ended, and I can't really do this with the wife in the house because she finds the whole thing hilarious, frankly, and also it's a bit intrusive because I have to be quite loud in order to speak over the volume of the in-game video, because I am technically illiterate enough not to know how to fiddle with the audio settings. But I was massively excited about getting this TrackHat device. Now, what it is, the one I bought is the wireless version. It comes, it's 3D printed in, I think it's UPVC, I'm not 100% sure. It comes, I think, in about they print it in about 4 bits and then clip it all together. It's got some very basic electronics inside which just emit the light. There's an off switch, and there's a mini USB socket and 3 LED lights, and that's what this device forms. It comes with 2 bits of square Velcro, one which you attach to the device itself and one which you attach to your headphones, and you can have the headphones work on their own without the track hat, and then you can Velcro the track hat. You have to be careful how you apply the Velcro. Obviously the device is a little bit front heavy, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I should get the I should get the instructions out, because they will detail things like battery life. Sure, maybe, or maybe it's on the website. I'm not 100% certain. But this wonderful track hat device, it's just absolutely marvellous. I can't tell you how excited I am. You can get a version without the camera, because actually what it uses, the camera, there's no battery life stuff on the instructions. There's just basic instructions on how to fire it up. It's the ability to actually drive like a normal human being, the ability to poke my head right now. So we are picking a job. So I'll briefly pause while we look at what job we're going to take. So we're in Nogales, and I wanted a short journey. I wanted to pick a short journey because I didn't have much time to make this video. I had to get the journey in relatively quickly, because the wife was only going to be out for about 45 minutes to an hour, and it takes a while to get this stuff set up, and then it takes a while to record. So I think this episode is about 22 minutes long, and it took about an hour to record, because I've got to fire everything up. I've got to get the gaming wheel out. I see. Now you're seeing a little minor problem that I rectified with the next video. I like to be able to hear my voice while I'm chatting to you, and in order to do that I have to pop the earpiece of one of my headphones, one of the earpieces of one of my headphones, off my ear, because they're quite good at blocking the sound out. So like an idiot, I set all this up and then I move the earpiece, so you can see the camera's actually looking slightly to the left. I rectified this by, instead of moving the earpiece behind my ear, I've just extended the earpiece so it sits on my neck. Not particularly comfortable, but better than nothing at all. So what I'm going to try and do is get a pair of headphones that just have one ear cup and are designed specifically that way, and then that should be better. I will need to get another piece of Velcro, but I've got a couple of spares, so it's all good. But just to be able to move my head around is marvellous. Anyway, as I was saying, it takes about an hour to set up, an hour to record one of these, a 22-minute video. I had to, because the desk is not just for the computer's not just used by me, it's used by the wife, and she can't abide having understandably can't abide having a steering wheel permanently attached to the desk. It has to be dismantled and put on a shelf by the desk when I'm not driving, so it takes about 5-10 minutes to set up, get it all in the right place, get myself comfortable, get the gear stick in the right position. Then when I start the game up, I've got to double check that all the settings I've got are correct, because this game has a habit, particularly when there's an update, this game has a habit of dropping all the settings, which is beyond irritating. It really is. I wish there was a way that you could keep your settings after an update, but it just seems to wipe them, which is flipping irritating. The other problem I've got is I've got to go into the computer has to be off before I plug the wheel and shifter in, otherwise the the computer doesn't find the shifter, it only finds the wheel, and it sees the pedals as just accelerator and brake. It ignores the clutch pedal. So if I've got the computer on before I start recording one of these, I've got to turn the computer off. I've got to plug everything in, and then I've got to turn it on again. Then I've got to go into the Logitech Gaming software to double check that because there's a picture. If it doesn't recognise the shifter won't be in the picture when you fire up the software. If it does recognise the shifter, then the shifter's there and the third pedal's there, and then I can get on. The other thing I've got to do is I've got to, and this is one of the things I didn't do with the last two videos, and it's I need the checklist basically. I need to create a checklist, and one of the things I need to check is I need to click on the microphone. I've got a very basic microphone. It's a thing I acquired from a British company called Maplins, and it's called a ProSound microphone. If I get the box and I can give you the exact name of this thing, it's a ProSound USB to HQ podcast vocal microphone. Its model number is A99JB, and it is a cardioid. A vocal quality cardioid microphone. It's not brilliant. I wish I could afford something better, but I don't. My videos are not monetized at the moment. They probably will be at some point, but they're not monetized at the moment. And I'm not earning anything from views. Not that I would earn much anyway. I'm not a massively popular YouTuber. I've got very loyal viewers to whom I apologise for the tardiness and the infrequency with which I put these things up. The trouble is when you've got a wife and a job and responsibilities, then unfortunately it's very difficult to get in to record the gaming footage, and without recorded gaming footage you can't edit. And then of course there's the time required to edit these things is difficult to acquire, although less difficult than recording, particularly when I'm narrating. It's not so bad if I'm not narrating. I can just play them with a pair of headphones on and I'm not disturbing anyone. And also been a bit demotivated and demoralised. Work sucks at the moment, so it's, you don't need to know about that. But anyway, as you can see, I'm having significant trouble finding my load and attaching it, which is absolutely hilarious. I was not used to using this device, this track clip device, and so I've been used to using the mirrors. I've done nearly 200 videos, I would say. I've probably done nearly 200 videos with just using mirrors to reverse. And also, this is probably the second or third video where I'm using the more advanced coupling option, and it's just I wasn't used to it. I think I go backwards and forwards maybe a half a dozen. This might be a different video, but I think I go backwards and forwards maybe a half a dozen times trying to get this thing to work. But anyway. So this track IR thing track clip comes can come. It uses a PS3 PlayStation Eye camera. Obviously, you have to slightly amend it. You have to remove the polarization filter to get it to work. Otherwise, it can't see the LED lights. Now, I've got a PlayStation Eye camera from my PS3. I didn't particularly want to break the PlayStation Eye trying to get it to work with TrackHat, and I decided no, I'm not going to do that. But because I bought I got something for free. I can't remember what I got for free. I got something. It might, to be honest, it might have been the camera. I might have got the camera free because I bought the wireless version. Hey, I got it loaded, so it's only about 2 or 3. So I haven't mentioned, we're going from Nogales and we're going to Phoenix. So we're staying in Arizona in this video. I think I leave Arizona. Whoa! I just banged that fencing, that webbed fencing, and I caught the concrete barrier. So I had such a terrible time because the track clip is pointing to the left. I just had a horrible time judging everything. But I think I have to reverse a couple of times to get this. You can see I'm confused as to what's the matter. Why? What's going on? What am I hooked on? Gee, I'm not 100% certain what I'm hooked on actually. Looking at this, we're good. We're out. So the other thing was I was confused as to where the bleep exit was. And yeah, I think I went wrong. I think you can see that if I'd just turned right, I would have been fine, but no. Idiot boy decides to turn left. You can see the red line as to where the exit is, but yeah, and I caught myself on that container, that green container unit that you can see in the rearview mirror. But yes, so the track clip. Oh no, it wasn't the camera. It was the camera clip that I got free. I paid for the camera and the wireless unit, the track clip itself, and because I bought that package I got a little clip which is a very roughly 3D printed clip that your PlayStation Eye camera slips into, and then it hooks onto the top of the monitor, so that sits on top of my my computer monitor. Irritatingly enough, the camera doesn't turn off when the computer turns off, which actually I've noticed a couple of USB powered devices. I've got an external hard drive that doesn't turn off when the computer turns off, even though it's powered from the computer. You would have thought, oh, the computer's turned off, these external devices would power down, but nope, they don't power down. It's a flipping nightmare. But so yes, you clip the PlayStation Eye to the top of the monitor, dead center. You try and line it up with the center of your. I think you line it up with the center of your head. You click a couple of settings. Now you have to download 2 bits of software. One that gets the camera to work with the device, and one that tells the computer you've got this device. The only one you have to activate before you're playing the game is the software that tells the computer you've got the device. Then when that fires up, you get a little sort of real-time render of little crosshairs telling you where the camera is in relation to, where the track clip is in relation to the camera, which is kind of cool. So it's a good idea to sort of I tend to be looking straight at the camera when I double click. That probably makes no difference whatsoever, but I like to think, I'm probably full of crap, but I like to think that that I'm centering the camera before I start, but you know, it's probably utter nonsense. So we're on the open road now. And I can't remember whether it's this video or the second of my track clip videos, track clip videos, where I got fined an awful lot. Speeding fines. I got a whole bunch of speeding fines. The second video with the track clip, I had to record in 2 bits, and that also will be narrated because, like a div, I forgot to double check that the microphone was working. Like I said, I'm going to produce a checklist so that this never happens again. But there are a whole bunch of things like I've got to check before. It's a real process setting up for these. I don't know if any of you guys are out there are creators as well, but particularly something as involved as American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator 2, where you're using a wheel with your computer. It's not the sort of thing that normally sits there. I mean, you can't. I have to push the keyboard underneath my monitor in order to clip the steering wheel and the shifter onto my desk. Now, I have got an extraordinarily cheap desk. It's a horrible piece of chipboard thing. The reason being, when the wife and I came back from New Zealand, we had almost no furniture apart from a bed. We had to buy a load of stuff for our unfurnished flat. And so we just acquired things from... There's a website called FreeCycle in the United Kingdom, where you can... things you don't want anymore, like tables, chairs, furniture, and all sorts of things, TVs. You can put them up, and if someone needs something, they can sort of hone a search for that specific thing. So I remember when we left for New Zealand, we had to get rid of a lot of stuff. I had 3 televisions before we left for New Zealand. I have my lovely big 50-inch plasma, my Panasonic plasma, which I adore, and I still have. We also had a 28-inch Philips cathode ray tube, and a 15-inch, that was widescreen, and a 15-inch 4x3 small television, which I got, which I think I won in a competition at work, bizarrely enough. And so because we weren't going to use those ever again, I free-cycled them. And that's how we acquired half of our furniture. We got a sofa, 4 wardrobes, a desk, and a whole bunch of other things. I think, a dining table and chairs, fold-out chairs. We also got some stuff from a charity shop. The British Heart Foundation has furniture outlets where you can take your furniture and then they resell it, and the money goes to the British Heart Foundation. And I think we got 2 bedside tables and a couple of other things. Yeah, this is a horribly cheap, nasty desk that's not particularly fun to work with. It's flimsy, it wobbles, and there's while it's around about the right height, it's both too wide and too narrow. It's too wide for the room, but because there's a whacking great big leg that's about it's not really a leg, it's a support. This shifter I can't click the shifter on, and it's too wide for the room, so that I can't move it into a position and have my computer sat beside it. We bought a house, and it's our first house. It's a very small house, and we love it, but it's very small. And the tiny box room in the United Kingdom, when you've got a 3-bedroom house, a lot of houses were built in the 1970s and 80s and 90s, and to be honest, to some extent modern houses are even worse. You've got 2 reasonably sized bedrooms and what we call a box room, which is pretty much useless as a bedroom. I mean, it's at a pinch we could get a bed in here, but I wouldn't like to sleep in it, I've got to be honest. It's not, I'm 6'4", and I don't think that I could get a bed fit in here. I really don't. But yes, I would like my computer not to be under a desk. I've got 2 inches of clearance. That's about 5 centimeters of about 5 centimeters of clearance between the top of the computer, where the radiator venting is, and the desk itself, which isn't particularly good for the computer. It's not well ventilated on that front. This is more than 22 minutes. We're at the 25-26 minute mark here. and I'm not 100% certain where we are in this video. But anyway, we are headed to Phoenix. This is the one. But anyway, I had to get this video in. I really had to I was so chuffed. The thing arrived in a box the morning that I got this. The morning that I made this video. I made this video in the evening, and the box arrived at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was just so excited. It was so brilliant. And it's not perfect. I've got to fiddle with some settings to get it to be a bit smoother. And when I'm looking out the rear, when I'm looking out the window, it doesn't like it, and it wants to constantly shift attention back into the cab. So there's a drifting issue, but even with all of the problems, even with the slight judderiness and with the drifting issue when I look out the window, it is infinitely more preferable to having to fiddle with a D-pad on the shifter. I'm looking at mirrors. I probably will keep I kept for this video, and I kept for the next video, and I'll probably keep for another couple of videos that mirror that you can see in the top right hand corner of the screen, just because I'm not used to this yet, and I'm going to have to get myself out of the habit of relying on that mirror, and once it's a bit smoother and I've got used to how much I've got to move my head, then I will be able to use the other mirror that I would normally look at in real life, but I'm not used to it yet. And then you'll get an even better view. I do wish that I could shift the position of that GPS further south so that it was having less of an impact on the view. That said, I was going to say that said it would be more difficult to look at it, but when I'm thinking about it, I'm just shifting my eyes into the corner without actually moving them. One of the things I've got to get into the habit of is not moving my head to look at things non-related to the external view. I have a glass of water to the side of me, and I just look at the glass when I'm picking it up. I've got to get into the habit of not doing that, because you guys have got no idea why the camera just suddenly dives bottom left for no apparent reason. So this is the position. I do believe that this was a bloody nightmare. I think this was a 90 pointer. This was might have been a 45 pointer. I'm not 100% certain. I made a pig's ear of it, I believe, as is my want, as you know. But it's the wife's just called. Obviously, my wife intuitively knows when I'm either recording a video or now recording the narration to a video, and she makes sure to phone during the process. It's like I would say sixth sense, but we've got like 20-30 senses, so but it's an extra sense that she has. It's her superpower. I think her superpower is to know when I'm doing something that shouldn't be interrupted. She phones to interrupt. So yep, second call, she's called it again. So hopefully this video's going to end at some point, I think. Oh goodness me. Yes, having a significant other and being a gamer is not an easy one. Even with my wife, who is a gamer, she's a mad Final Fantasy fan. So whenever a new Final Fantasy game comes out, I lose my PlayStation for about 3 solid weeks, where she ODs on Final Fantasy for that period of time, and then gets bored with it and stops playing it, and I get my PlayStation back. What I tell you, I'm watching this, and I'm remembering I was commenting about how I have to find out how to change the sensitivity on the clutch so that it doesn't conk out. Oh, there we are, we're green. It's done, it's parked. That is not the straightest parking job that I have ever done. In fact, I think that's probably the least straight that my parking has ever been. Goodness me. But we got an excellent. I cannot, for the life of me, read any of that, so I have got absolutely no idea what I earned. I should have prepped before I did this, but we got an excellent, and we got a dribble, because obviously it was a very short journey. We got a dribble towards level 10. We got no penalties. We got a bonus for parking. What I might do is put some text on top of the screen. It might be right there right now. Yeah, I might not bother. I probably won't bother. But what I will do is I will write it down before I start the next narration for the next video, so that I can say, by the way, in the last video I got this and this and this and this, and we're here, and this is where we are. But unfortunately, like a complete moron, I forgot to write any of this down, so it's just going to have to be one of those things that that doesn't happen. Yeah, I've got to go and pick my. Oh God! I've got to go and do some husbandly duties. Unfortunately, because my wife has just called. But anyway, we have to go now. We have to sign off. So until I see you in the next video, I'll see you on the road.